This video tutorial is all about cloning. Specifically, we're going to look at natural clones, and then we'll go on to look at some of the uses of natural clones, specifically in plants. So firstly, what is a clone? Clones are genetically identical copies. The term can apply to either cells or to a whole organism. Clones are produced by asexual reproduction, in which the nucleus is divided by mitosis, and then that mitosis creates two identical copies of the DNA, which are then separated into two identical nuclei before the cell divides to form two genetically identical cells. These cells might not be physically or chemically identical, as after division, they can differentiate to form different cell types, but they will be genetically identical. Clones are formed in nature, so any organism that reproduces asexually will produce clones of itself. For example, single-celled yeast reproduce by budding, and bacteria reproduce by binary fission. That's what's shown on the left-hand side of the slide. And both processes, binary fission and budding, involve exact replication of DNA. So the cells produced are genetically identical. They are clones. The offspring produced by cloning are genetically identical to parents. Now, this has several advantages, but also quite a few disadvantages. In terms of advantages, first of all, if the conditions for growth were good for the parent, then they will probably be good for the offspring as well. Cloning is really rapid, so the population can increase really quickly to take advantage of suitable environmental conditions. And reproduction can be carried out even if there's only one parent. Obviously, if that was the situation, sexual reproduction would not be possible. However, there are many disadvantages. So the offspring may become overcrowded. There'll be no genetic diversity, except, of course, any that's caused by mutation. The population will show little variation. Selection is not possible. And if the environment changes to be less advantageous, the whole population is then going to be susceptible. The differentiation of many plant cells is not as complete as that in animals. Many parts of the plant contain cells that retain the ability to divide and differentiate into a range of types of cells. Now, this means that plants are able to reproduce by cloning. Natural cloning involves a process called vegetative propagation. This is the process of reproduction through vegetative parts of the plant rather than through specialized reproductive structures. Now, many plants grow horizontal stems that can form roots at certain points. These stems are called runners or stolons if they grow on the surface of the ground, and rhizomes if they grow underground. Some rhizomes are adapted as thickened overwintering organs from which one or more new stems will grow in the spring. Suckers are new stems that grow from the shoot of a plant. These may be close to the base of an older stem or could be some distance away. In all cases, the original horizontal branch may die, leaving the new stem as separate to the original parent stem, making them two separate individuals. Bulbs, for example, onions, are an overwintering mechanism for many perennial monocotyledon plants. Bulbs consist of an underground stem from which grows a series of fleshy leaf bases. There is also an apical bud, which will grow into a new plant in the spring. Often, a bulb contains more than one apical bud, and each will grow into a new plant. Corms are often mistaken for bulbs. However, corms are solid, rather than fleshy like a bulb. A corm is an underground stem with scaly leaves and buds. Corms remain in the ground over winter. In the spring, the buds grow to produce one or more new plants. The kalanchoe plant produces asexually, as clones grow on the leaf margins. The immature plant drops off the leaf and takes roots. Finally, tubers are another type of underground stem. Potatoes are tubers. One potato will grow into one or more plants. Each new plant can then reproduce many new can then produce many new tubers later that year. Now, obviously, animals do not clone as often as plants. There are, however, a few examples of natural cloning in animals. So mammals can clone when identical twins are formed. And as hopefully you're already aware, this occurs when a fertilized egg, a zygote, divides as normal, but the two daughter cells then accidentally split to become two separate cells. And then each cell will undergo rounds of cell division and grow and develop into a new individual. The water flea, or Daphnia, and also green flies are examples of animals that can commonly reproduce asexually to produce clones.